Hi everyone, this is John from GuidePlanet.com. Just a quick guide on some basic font manipulation with GIMP. To get started, what I'm going to show you today is adding in your own custom or pre-made fonts into Microsoft Paint and into GIMP. If you look in Microsoft Paint, when you add the fonts, you're very limited to what you can actually add. They never really give you much basic fonts. You're pretty limited. These ones here, sorry, this one here and this one here, these are custom ones I've added in, same as that one. Alright, first things first, if you go to cooltext.com/fonts, this is one resource, there's plenty of them, to get true type font files from. We'll just go on the top 100. And as you can see, they're a lot better than the ones you come preset into Paint and GIMP and other editing software. If we just choose something like this is kind of cool, download it, extract it, and yeah, you just install it, and it installs it into all your Microsoft font files. So other programs then go and search those and find it. Neverwinter, and the true type font file is the installer. So yeah, it shows a summary of all your fonts. Install, and there you go, it's installed into Paint and any other program that searches your font files. So if we go down, we have Neverwinter. So this is the basics of getting decent fonts to make logos and images and the rest, or more specific fonts rather. If we just call it sample logo, I mean, it looks kind of cool already, but you could do a lot more to it. I might just add another space to liven things up. Right, so all we want to do with Paint is add in the text. You could add different colors, you could do whatever, but it's not very good for editing Paint. So save it as a JPEG on the desktop. Save it as new image .jpg. Okay, so the next step is to take your new image and load it into GIMP. Now, as you can see, it's not very well spaced. It could do with some editing, but what we're going to do straight away is remove the background layer so we can do more with the foreground. To do that, go into Layer, Transparency, Color to Alpha. And this means remove a color from it, and we're going to remove the white color. Obviously you could do any color on the page, and boom, it's gone. Right, the next stage is to edit this. I could just leave it in, but I, out of preference, like to have a bigger canvas to work on. So if I go into Paint and make it a bit bigger, just give us something to play with, and then save this as a JPEG. Just call it white. Yes. Save it. Now we've got our canvas again. Remove the layer. Now you can work with this one as your background. So if we go Tools, Select, Rectangle, cut this kind of evenly, cut that off, and we'll just dump it on here. Right, now the next step would be to save it. With GIMP it's handy to save everything. Every time you've got two layers or more, if you want to merge the layers together, you should export it, or save as. Doesn't really. Saving as is for projects, exporting is to save it as a file. It's kind of confusing, but that's how it works. Now PNG for supporting transparency. So let's call this, in fact we'll just replace new image. Or not, as the case may be, as that was a JPEG. Right, so I'll close this and load it again. You can see now it's a transparent picture. Okay, so the basics of editing your font. There's a few ways to do it. You could add shadows, you could do all sorts of screen effects, but most people seem to just go for alien glow, which is kind of boring, but for this example I'll show you alien glow. Now this is how far around the font it'll glow, so I don't want it too far. And the colour we're going to use. We'll go with like a bluish. Okay, and go. Now what this does is it switches the colours because it has to use, for some reason, a black outline to make this effect right. It's something to do with the script it uses, but we can fix that quite easily by, again, removing the layer, the black this time. Right, so yeah, we have our basic semi-edited logo. Again, export it to merge the layers. It would be handy to make new saves so you end up with lots of images in case you make a mistake somewhere along, but for this demonstration I shall replace it. Okay, so the next step would be, if you have an archive, you've collected images or made a bunch of images or anything, you could use that, but for this demonstration I've just taken an Earth image straight from Google Images and we shall use it for this. What you really want to do is take time and effort on your background because it makes the picture. For this one I'm going to scale this down a little bit. The height, I want it about, say, 400. I mean, this is big for a logo, you'd want it a lot smaller, but anyway. Right, I'm going to cut that. As I said, if you wanted to you do a lot more graphics editing to this actual background before you edit it to your background for the other image. Right, so this is my canvas. Nice blank one, paste it in, and we've got our background. The next step is to grab your foreground, which is the font. I mean, a good image has lots of layers, so if you think anything between the background and the foreground that you feel like adding in is probably going to make it look better. If we grab this, and it's as simple as pasting it on top. Right, now you can see already that looks reasonable, but we could do more with it. If you want to select it at all, go foreground, and you can drag it around, place it wherever. It might look better at the bottom, might be better at the top, which it doesn't. Place it back out there. Right, now again, because there's multiple layers, we should merge it. So export it as something new. .png, export. Right, close this one off. Right, so here's our compiled merged image. Now, I mean, you can do a lot more to this. This is a very, very basic example, but as I said, how long does it take to do this? Not very long. So drop shadow. This is for sideways. I like to have it straight up and down shadows, and this is up and down. The blur radius, obviously, how far it goes, and its opacity. Right, so I mean, adding shadows after you've compiled the image also adds shadows on the outside of it, but not on the inside, which kind of looks better. But it depends on what you want. You might want to add the shadow first on the logo, save it, and then dump it on top. There's lots more you can do, but for this example, that'll do. If there's any more questions, feel free to post.